a shadow in the government's game. Pawn as a child with no face and no name. They stole my past to leave me cold and alone. Always searching for a place that could go home. I was lost in the dark, just a tool in the hand, till she pulled me close and helped me understand. Now the fire inside is starting to rise. I can see the truth through 1,000 lies. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. In the dead of the night, I can hear the call. All the ghosts of my past scratching through the wall. My eyes change colors, the power has grown. With Crowley the Hound, I'm never alone. I used to be hollow, a man made of glass, but now I am reclaiming every year that has passed. Every memory is falling right back into place. I know every name and I remember every face. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's a magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hell on beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I ain't running no more, yeah, I'm ready to fight. Gonna settle that debt in the depth of the night. They tried to break me, they tried to erase, but they can't hide the blood from the scars on my face. The veil is thin and the engine is hot. I'm taking back everything that they thought I forgot. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a tailhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I remember it all now. Every single face, I'm calling for you in the dead of the night.
Hello, everybody. My name is Henry. For those of you that don't know, for those of you that do, welcome back. Tonight, I'm taking you to another little place here in the Midwest. There's a cemetery, and it's not a great big cemetery, but in this cemetery, there's a tombstone. And in this cemetery, there's no other tombstone like it. It's a great big tree, an old dead tree. Got a couple of knot limbs sticking out on it. When that was first put there was a squirrel sitting on a limb, and there was a dog perched up on that log, treeing that squirrel. Well, over the years, vandals got in there and they tore the dog off of there first. Then they went to work breaking off some of the limbs. But anyway, it looks like a log, but it's actually concrete. It's a monument. But I'm going to tell you the story about how and why that thing was put there. There was no man in all of his life. I don't know if y'all know what a Feist is. A Feist is a type of dog. Kind of like a rat terrier, Boston terrier. In the terrier family. They usually don't get too awful big. But they'll chase rodents. And a squirrel, all that is a dignified rat. But they chase mice, squirrels, rats, rabbits. They'll even dig moles out of your yard. People used to keep those rat terriers and feists. A feist can be a different blend of different terriers. But they used to keep them for just that purpose. The old farmers used to keep them because they'd let them go into where they kept their feed, and it kept the mice and rats down. So instead of putting traps out and having to get rid of them, put poison out, and have to get rid of the things before they start stinking, these feists would catch them damn things just like a cat. Kill it and eat it. That's no kidding. For no bigger than they were, dude, they also been known to kill snakes. Actually hunt snakes in the yard or around the property and kill them. They didn't eat those though. But anyway, a feist could take on different looks. It could have the ears that stood up like a German Shepherd. Some of the ears hung down. Sometimes one ear would hang down and one go up. Most times these guys dock the tail, which means leave about 3 inches of tail, cut the rest off. Some people left the tails on. Some people cut the tail shorter. But it didn't make a difference. It was still a feist. They could look different too. You know, they wasn't like a specific look. They could be many different colors and range in different sizes, but they were usually a small dog, not quite medium, because they were fast. I mean, these things was like a miniature greyhound, man. They could run like hell. Most times they'd catch a squirrel before it gets to the tree and kill it. Save the hunter a bullet. Well, this story takes place a long time ago, back in the early 1900s. As a boy, there was no other kid in the family, just him. He was the only child. Well, his dad told his mom that he needs a friend, a buddy. And we need to keep the rat population down and keep them damn squirrels from eating our pecans. So, a guy in the neighborhood raised these feists. And he goes, honey, he said, they keep the mice and rats down. When he gets big enough, he could use him for squirrel hunting. He said, I'll train the dog to chase squirrels. Well, you don't train a feist. They're like a beagle. It's born into them. They're like a coon dog. It's born into a coon dog to chase coons. You just have to learn how to work with him while his natural instinct kicks in. That's how that works. A lot of people say, oh, we train beagles. No, you don't. That's born into beagles to chase rabbits. So anyway, the woman, after thinking about it for a while, she was like, nah, he be shitting everywhere. No, these good dogs. And I guess you're going to build a doghouse? No, we'll keep him in the house. That way if a rat or mouse gets in here, he'll kill it. Well, she wasn't too thrilled about that idea. But he just kept selling it. And finally, she gave in. That dad, he jumped in that old vehicle and down the road he went. When he come back, one of the prettiest little pups you ever seen. Had a little black around the face, like a little mask. Brown and black all over his body. Tail was even docked, which meant cut. Well, he was probably about 8 weeks old, that pup was. So he's going to be able to grow up with that boy. Well, Over time, that pup and that boy grew close. Well, that boy would be out there playing in the yard, and there would be a garter snake come into the yard. That dog would leave that boy, run over there and grab that snake, and I mean just shake him like an old woman would when she pulls a chicken head off. You ever seen them old people when they do that? They grab that chicken head like this here, and they got the rest of it in their arm like a football. And all of a sudden they'll turn loose right there, and they take that old head, that old chicken head, and they give it a crank. Chicken flies one way, flopping, and they still got the head in their hand. My grandma used to do that. I was like, Jesus Christ, I really don't want to piss her off. She might pull my head off. But anyway, that dog killed that snake. I mean, he shook that snake like it was a rag doll. When he was done, he took the snake out to the edge of the yard and dropped it off. Come running up there by that little boy, as if to say, don't worry, I got him. And I took him way out there in the yard. So don't go over there. So every time that boy started to walk that way, that dog get between him and that old dead snake, and he'd just yap his full head off, trying to get one of the grown-ups to come get that little boy. Well, as the boy got older, them two started venturing into the woods. And that dog would run his full head off, chasing squirrels up a tree, and then sit there, raise up, like he was sitting pretty, but stand up on his back feet and have his front feet cocked, sometimes put it on a tree, and he'd go around that tree, dancing around that tree, hopping, barking at that damn squirrel up in the tree. Well, if you know anything about squirrels, while that dog was barking at that squirrel thought that was funny. And he was up there barking back at that dog. Well, come today, Dad got the little boy a brand new shotgun. Single shot 20 gauge. Stevens and Savage. Them's good guns. Very little can go wrong with them. That's why I like them. Well, that boy go target practicing. Well, them squirrels got so used to that dog chasing them up a tree while they was trying to steal pecans out of the yard, that to them it was a regular game. Every day, the dog come out, the boy come out, and chase the squirrel up the tree, and the squirrel bark at the dog, and the dog barking at the squirrel. Well, that dad was teaching that boy how to shoot that shotgun. Over a period of time, that boy got pretty good. And he taught him the right way. Because see, on them old Savage and Stevens, there never was no safety on those. You break it open, put a shell in it, snap it back. It can't go off unless you pull that hammer back and pull the trigger. That's what made them so nice. There was no safeties on them. And if you ever run across one, you better scarf that one up, because them damn good guns. They don't have a lot of mechanism, so there ain't much can go wrong with them. They're a reliable, good gun. Fairly cheap, too, when you can find one. But that boy got one. He got pretty damn good with it. So it come today, and his mom wasn't happy about the boy going out with a shotgun. The dad was like, I've been working with him for several months. I've even went out in the woods with him and let him carry it. It's better than a .22 rifle. She said, well, can you explain to me why it's better than a .22 rifle? He goes, because a shotgun will spread and not go as far as a rifle. A .22 rifle will travel a heck of a lot further. If it ricochets, it can go any direction. She didn't like the idea, and he goes, well, look, I told the boy, carry one shell in his hand. Don't break that gun open and put a shell in there until that squirrel is up the tree, in the tree, not on the ground, Not at the bottom of the tree. Up in the tree. Get up there where you're going to take your shot. Break it open. Put the shell in. Snap it back. And you do not pull that hammer back until you're aiming. And if you only see a portion of the squirrel, don't take the shot. That's how some of these hunters out there mistake somebody for a deer, or they mistake a cow or a dog for a deer, because they say, yeah, I see a little piece of it, so I took the shot. I didn't mean to shoot you. So this boy learned the right way. His daddy taught him right. Well, he goes out there and tells the boys, you can't leave the property. Go down there by the pecan grove. Find you a nice good stump down there to set on. There's all kinds of squirrels there. This way I can keep an eye on you. If I see you doing something wrong, I can correct it. Well, the mom didn't like the idea, and she's watching out the window. Of course, Dad's standing there watching. That dog started in after them squirrels again. And them squirrels went up the tree, and he found him a good stump set on. He pulled up, and that squirrel was barking at that damn dog, making fun of that dog, because he went up the tree before the dog caught him. And that boy shot that squirrel, blew him out, and that feist tore into that squirrel. Tore him a new one. Crunch, 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 all the way up, from the ass all the way up to the head. And all of a sudden that dog, when he was done, made sure that squirrel was dead. He picked that squirrel up, around the throat, walked straight over to that little boy and dropped it at his feet, and then sat there. He wanted a reward. He wanted to be petted. That's the way you think a dog. They do something like that. I know I had fights before. Well, that whole year, squirrel season there, that boy would go out there and sit in the pecan grove, and they'd watch him from the barn or from the house. Dad was like, okay, you can go out just beyond the yard. He took him out there and he said, I still want to be able to watch you for one more year, one more season of squirrel season. So the boy was like, okay. Well, wasn't long, and come time, and the boy just take off hunting by himself. The dad had made sure everything was right and that he was taught right. Well, the guy grew up, the dog got older. Well, then he met his wife and they got married, and that was his dog, even though it was a lot older now. Part of the deal was, it's a package deal. It's squirrel season. Me and that dog is squirrel hunting. The dog's moving in. He's part of my family. She didn't argue. She just kind of laughed. She accepted him and his dog. Well, over the years, they'd done a lot of hunting together. Even though the dog was old and slowing down, he would still perk up for a squirrel hunt. Well, one day he was out in the field working and come home. And that dog was up there just laying around in the shade, which was unusual for a fight. They're usually up to something. So that evening he brought the dog in, and the dog curled up over there by the wood stove in his little basket. And they was sitting there eating, and the guy cut a little bit of fat off of his pork steak. He hollered at the old dog, and the dog just kind of raised his head and opened one eye and looked at him and whined a little bit and laid down. The guy, what the hell's wrong with him? So he takes that little piece of fat over there, and the dog takes it in his mouth and just lays it down there on the bed. Well, next morning when he woke up, that little piece of fat was still laying there, and that dog was laying there dead. Died of old age. That dog knew he was dying. Most animals do. Well, several weeks went by, and the guy was all sad. And I know what that's like. Glad my dog died one time. Anyway, he just kind of, he was sad missing that dog. Because he was raised up with that dog. So his wife asked him, she said, I hate to ask, and I know you're in pain. Would you say that kind of dog that was? She said that dog was so ugly it was pretty. What kind of dog was it? He said, a Feist. She goes, a Feist? Yeah? What the hell's a Feist? It's a breed of dog. Oh. Okay. So she looks through the catalogs, and sure enough, right there in the back of the catalog, Feist puppies. Weaned and ready to go. $25. Now back then, $25 was a lot of money. So she tells him, she said, hey, my sister's coming to get me today, and we're going to go to town, and we'll be back before supper time. He's like, okay, whatever, you know. She grabbed that catalog and cut that little picture out. Her sister come get her, and they take off heading to town, and sister's like, what are we doing today? She goes, well, first off, we got to run to the post office. Oh, you got some letters to drop off? She goes, no. She said, I got a mail order I got to get. You knew about my husband's dog passing away that he had when he was a kid. Yeah. She goes, well, I found an article here, and they have stuff for sale, and $25. She goes, you gonna spend $25 on a dog? Yeah, she said, it come all the way from down there in Arkansas. He's just all tore up about it, and he just needs another dog. That old dog was a pretty good one. He kept the rats and snakes and stuff down, and even hunted squirrel. Put food on the table. She goes, well, I never heard of such. What kind of dog was it, a beagle? No, he says it's a Feist. Here, look at that article. I never heard of a damn Feist. What the hell's a Feist? Some kind of a rodent dog. So she goes to the post office, gets the money ordered, and puts it in the envelope, puts a little letter in there, described the type of pup she wanted. She'd like to have a male, but if they only have females left, she'd take a female. She definitely had to have one of them pups. Well, she mailed that letter. Days went past, and then it turned into about 2 weeks, and they were sitting around eating breakfast one morning, and the phone rang. It was the post office in town. Well, the guy answered the phone, and he goes, yeah? Yeah, this is him. Sir, you have a package in here, and it's quite lively. You need to come get it today. He goes, well, I got hay out there that I gotta go roll. No, you need to get in here ASAP. This thing needs to go to your house real fast. He's real rowdy. I didn't order nothing. No, but your wife did. See? Okay, I'll finish my breakfast. I'll be right in. So he hangs up the phone and he goes, what the hell did you order? She goes, a pup? Well, mine just died. I know it's for you. Early Merry Christmas. How much did you spend on that? $25. I got that with my egg money. Well, let's eat and we'll head in there and get it. What kind of pup is it? She goes, a Feist? A Feist? When the hell did you get a Feist at? She said, I ordered it from Arkansas. So she showed him the clipping. He's like, well, I'll be damned. So they were having to eat and they had in there and they opened the crate on that thing and that thing jumped. Plumb out of the little crate. The guy caught it in the air. Looked almost like his other one. Well, a few seasons passed, and that man had a severe stroke. Died. Well, the woman had several pictures of him, that dog. She had a tombstone that looked like a log. It had a squirrel in it, and this dog reared up on a tree. It was his first dog. Well, they put that thing together and delivered it out to that cemetery, and that's why that's there. Well, the following year, that dog would always leave the house and run up the road to that cemetery and lay there by that tombstone and just whine. Finally, it grieved itself to death. But this lady went and kept going and get the dog, bring it home, and had to go right back up there. When that dog passed away, she dug a hole there one night in the cemetery and buried that dog right at the foot of that tombstone. Well, she had the remains from the first one. She dug that one up and wrapped it up, buried it on the other side. Now, at nighttime, when you go to that cemetery, if you knew where it was at and you went there, and you went to that tombstone, you'd hear two dogs barking. And sometimes you hear that damn squirrel up a tree. Yeah, them squirrels are. Yeah, bark their full heads off. And them dogs barking back at them. And if you're not too close to that tombstone, you look over and you see that guy sitting on another tombstone with a shotgun. But that's what he used to do all the time, hunt squirrels. Many people have seen that guy drive by on the blacktop and seen them dogs treeing, and see a guy sitting on a tombstone with a shotgun aiming up, and they call the cops. Hey, there's some crazy son down there in the cemetery at nighttime with two dogs and a shotgun getting ready to shoot something off top of that tombstone. Cops show up, there wasn't nothing there. That happened several times over the years. Still happens. If you ever figure out where that place is at, go there. You'll see them. You'll hear them dogs and you'll see them too. True story. Now the next story, is in the same cemetery. There was 5 neighbors that lived in this neighborhood. They was always shooting the shit. They was either drinking coffee at this one's house, drink coffee at this one's house. Now these people died at different times. And the ones that was living would go to the funeral, so on and so forth, till the last one passed away. Now one night, I went to this cemetery just to see maybe I could catch something. Everybody told me that cemetery was haunted by that guy shooting damn squirrels off of a tombstone. So I went there to check that out and witnessed that. But I also witnessed a group of people in the back part of the cemetery sitting around, smoking cigarettes, and drinking coffee out of coffee cups. And talking and laughing just like they did when they was alive. So I'm kind of sitting in the middle of the cemetery. I'm like, I got the dogs over here barking, that guy over there, that ghost. And I keep hearing something over here, and I turn and look, and there's these people sitting on tombstones talking to each other. Now, I knew every one of these people. They've been dead for years. But by God, they was having a hell of a reunion on them damn tombstones shooting the shit because they're all buried right there in a small radius around each other. So I guess it is true that you continue doing the same things you did when you was alive, and these people still are. This cemetery is a lot of people have seen things like this in this cemetery. They've seen those people gathering together, having coffee, smoking cigarettes, and laughing and talking. The guy that runs that cemetery, takes care of it, not mows it, but he's like the overseer over it. He's also the funeral director and mortician and a little bit of everything else. He has lived right up the road. He got a call one night to go down there, and like me, he went to the center of the cemetery so he could look all the way around. And he about shit his drawers. First, there was the feist over here, 2 feist dogs, tree and a squirrel in a tree, that old tombstone. Then there was the guy sitting on the tombstone, and this time the guy actually fired the shot. That poor guy damn near shit himself. He started running to the back of the cemetery because he thought he was going to get away from that shotgun blast, only to run into these ghosts sitting on tombstones talking, and when he run between the tombstones, past them, before he realized that he run in between them, these ghosts actually stopped what they was doing and watched him. They actually turned their heads to watch him. When he turned around and seen that, he run right straight into the dump pile where you put the dead flowers and stuff at. It's probably about 8 foot deep. He ran in that pile and was covered with dirt, flowers, reefs, all kinds of shit. He tore that thing apart because it's like a 3-section, kind of like a square with the front cut off, and you throw the flowers and stuff in there, that way the wind won't blow them away. He fell in there and sunk in that damn thing. He about tore that thing apart, trying to get out of there. Needless to say, he finally got out of there and jumped a little creek, run out in this big old cornfield, straight out to the road, and he sat there and debated. Do I walk past that tree with them dogs are treed and that damn ghost shoot that shotgun? Or do I run like hell? In school, he was in track. But you can't outrun a shotgun fire. He decided he was going to chance it because he wasn't going to stand there in the road all night. And that poor guy took off running. It was funny as hell. He took off running right at the edge of the cemetery in the middle of the road. And when he got about even with that tree, that ghost pulled up and shot again. He fell, scuffed his arms up, his legs, ran past his house. He was so scared. He ran past his house, plumb down to the laundromat and called his wife on the payphone, got her up and told her to come and get him, that he'd been shot at. Well, she called the cops. So the cops and her met down there at the laundromat, and there he was, sitting there drinking a Mountain Dew, trying to calm down. If he'd have been a smoker, he'd have chain smoked every one of his cigarettes. So her and the cops walk in, and, well, who shot at you? He goes, you ain't gonna believe this. That cemetery that I'm over, you passed? Yeah? Some son of a bitch was in there with 2 dogs and a shotgun. And that ain't the worst of it. I run through there, run to the back of the cemetery, and there was people back there sitting on tombstones talking. And so I cut right between them, didn't even notice them until I got right past them. He said, then I fell into that goddamn thing where you put the flyers in there, the disposal. He said, I like never got out of there. And he said, that's why I got all this dirt, grass, and mud on me. He said, then I run out through the field. Now I'm itchy from the corn. I get out there in the road, and I'm debating, do I run past there or go back out in the cornfield and get itchy? He said, I decided it was a clear shot, so I was going to run. And he said, when I got past that tree, that fool sitting out there on that tombstone fired a shot. And he said, well, as I was running, I turned to look, and he said, I fell. My arms are all scuffed up, both arms. My knees, my hip. I even got a scratch on my head. And he said, I just plumb forgot to stop at the house. I just kept on running. Cop goes, you had anything to drink? Hell no, I ain't had nothing to drink. I got a call something was going on down at the cemetery, and I went down and check it out. He said, I thought it was some young kids. He said, that damn cemetery's full of ghosts. That cop started laughing. He goes, you ain't the first one to see that. A lot of people called in about that one. He said, but I never ever go there at nighttime. He said, well, why would you? He goes, but I can guarantee you one thing. I ain't never going back down there at night. I'll go there in the daytime, chase anybody out, but I ain't going back there at nighttime, get shot at, run between ghosts having coffee and smoking cigarettes. I don't think so. That cop just laughed, and he goes, you need to go to the hospital and get checked out or anything? No, he said, I'll just tape myself up, but I'd appreciate you keep a lid on this. The cop started laughing. He goes, don't worry. I won't tell nobody, but he said everybody at the police station doesn't know it because the dispatcher was talking and all of us cops were sitting there listening. So he said, might want to kind of steer clear of there for a while. He said, that ain't funny. He said, well, I know it ain't funny, but it was to us. Because we already knew about that cemetery. So he said, after a while, people will forget. They won't laugh near as hard. Well, it is true that cemetery is like that. And you will hear a shotgun blast. So just be careful you ever go there, you hear that shotgun blast. Don't take off running like some mortician did. You'll wind up with more scars than you could tape up with Band-Aids. So if you do go there, you better carry some Band-Aids and some toilet paper. The toilet paper in case you shit yourself. The Band-Aids when that guy shoots and you take off running across the blacktop and get them scraped, you're going to need those Band-Aids. Better get you some ointment too for that blacktop rash. Okay, the next story. Back a long time ago, there, Greene County, there's an old cemetery set along Highway 16. Or, yeah, 16 there, they call it 16. There's a cemetery that, as you're going down the road and you look, there's a gravel road that goes up a big hill, and it sits up there on top of the hill. Cops kept getting complaints, and they thought it was kids, so they would go out there and check it out. You know, lights shining around, lights flickering. Well, come to find out, that cemetery is haunted. Well, every time the cops go out there, they wouldn't see nothing. This guy riding a motorcycle one night home from work. He got off the night shift and was going home. He's bopping down through there on that old highway, and this orb comes out of that cemetery on the hill, which would have been on his right-hand side. It was barreling down that gravel road, and at that time he reached the entrance to the cemetery, that orb reached that same spot. It hit that motorcycle, dented in one whole side of the gas tank, bounced off, hit him across the front shield on that helmet, that full-face helmet. It tore that shield plumb off of the helmet. he damn near lost the bike. Well, he got her shut down, got her under control, got her shut down, and checked everything over, and it was still drivable. But he turned around and headed to the police station. He said, there's been an accident. They said, well, where at? He told them down by the old cemetery there on the highway. Out there west of town. Okay, well, then... No, he said, I was in the accident. They said, well, what'd you hit? He goes, it ain't what I hit, it's what hit me. And he goes, well, what the hell hit you? It's a big round orb. Orange light, that size of a basketball. I was watching it come down the road, coming down that gravel road, as I was going up the highway. And he said, we reached the corner at the same time. Neither one of us was merging. Hit the motorcycle. Look at the dent in the side of it. Dented that whole gas tank in. Then it bounced off of the gas tank, hit me in the shield on the helmet, tore the shield plumb off. You kind of started laughing and said, you all right? Yeah, but he said, it scared the hell out of me. But them cops said, well, as long as you're okay, how do you file a report on an orb? And he goes, well, I just had to tell somebody. They said, well, that's what we're here for. But, you know, if it had been an owl or a deer or something like that, we could fill out a report. But do you really want us to fill out a report and file this? Dude, you better off just get your gas tank fixed, get you a new helmet shield, and probably better off not tell nobody. Well, things like this kept happening. So, another time, car come down the road, and this orb did the same thing. It come out of the cemetery down that road, hit the car, knocked both the driver's side window and the passenger window plumb out. Caused a little bit of an accident. Lady went off in the ditch. Well, the old farmer that farmed all the way around that cemetery, he'd never worked them fields at nighttime. And it just kept happening. Cars would get dents in them. They couldn't figure out why. Why just all of a sudden did this start happening? And this happened over like one whole summer. Well, they sent some investigators up there, and they found out somebody was digging in the old grave section, and they was grave robbing. And that's the only thing they can figure that caused that chain of reactions. So they started investigating real good, and they never could figure out who did it. But there was a few places that had been dug up. They done the best they could to make it right, and when they filled in each one of the burial spots, a priest spoke over while they was covering it up. Well, then it got to where you'd only see the orb up there in that cemetery, and people still see it today. But there, that one whole summer, that ghost was pissed. He was knocking windows out, hitting people on motorcycles. He was just making all kinds of mayhem. So, there's my couple of stories for tonight, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.